Hello folks, brew.com here, Arne Pulse at the mic. As usually bring you some standard action. This was played and recorded a few weeks ago, I believe, not too far ago. Anyways, I wanted to show you this because this match was so fun, even though the decks used here are a bit odd. Well, at least not the left one, which is Esper Dragons. Commentators at the last two Star City Games Open tournaments may have to argue that Esper Dragons sort of been absent with the new format, with the new standard, with the new sets off of the Gatewatch. But I think this deck in the wider meta game with some shifts could easily return back to the picture. Right now it's not that well positioned. On the right there will be my brew, a 4-color tokens mill deck. Well, not so much mill, but abusing all the synergies of allies and tokens basically. And also have this mid-rangey, grindy, controlish element. You'll see in the match what I'm talking about. Basically, Esper Dragons have been absent in the past couple of weeks because it just doesn't pair up that well against rally decks and against not so much against Abzan, although against Abzan it's quite okay, but Abzan decks now sometimes splash for blue, and that's a nightmare for the Esper control deck. Then also the new Mardu decks with the Goblin Dark Dweller that can rebuy Crackling Doom or Call Against Command. The rest of those kind of decks is pushing the deck away. So there are too many Crackling Dooms, even from 4-color decks like Abzan splashing red, for example, and that new Mardu mid-range deck. So there are some challenges for Esper Dragons. Esper Tokens is a deck that right now I like quite a bit more, or you can call it Esper Super Friends. Those types of deck are much more suited for the current meta game, but things could change there easily if things shift towards tokens and towards more ramp. Then I think Esper deserve a better chance. Okay, the 4-color tokens tokens control starts at first with a Bloodstainmire in my hands. Just a Prairie Stream on turn 1 from the Dragon stack. Quite classic. Pulling out the life totals here. Fetching out the turn. Basically, the deck is at its core Mardu with a light green splash for Absent Charms and stuff like that. Fetch the tapped Canopy, no, not Canopy, it's the Cinderglade, so the red-green one. Basically, I want black and red on turn 2. The rest is a bit less complicated. The rest of colors and costs. Because on turn 2 I can either have a 2-drop like Calastre Healer here or a Tormenting Voice. And Healer could do a lot of work with this deck. Although in this matchup it's not as impressive. On the other hand, they don't have that much of like stuff to actually attack or block with, apart from maybe Ojutai. Jace could be a problem, but because my deck operates on a different axis, so I don't care so much for that type of card. So here I played out Zolpor Cutthroat that drains my opponent for 1, and then laid down a Windswept Heath, the green-white fetchland. Third land for him. He can fetch a Sunken Hollow with it, but it will come into play tapped, I mean. fetched up just plains because now I have all my colors. Though the deck does contain some double weights, like planar outburst, for example, which is more of like a reset button for the deck when things just don't go super well early. Now Cutthroat. I have 1 mana up for the Silumgan's Scorn, unless he can show me a dragon from the hand. He is really debating whether to counter this, I believe. And or he could have the 3 mana counter spell with Awaken, but doesn't want to use it now because he wants to fetch a black source. On the other hand, he has a Jace in play, so he can perhaps loot and find it that way instead of a fetch. After attacks, he goes down to 16, and all the triggers. So now, if he wipes the board with something like the Languish, he will be in a world of pain. Of course, the deck in the first game still does have, I believe, about 3 copies of Felton Invocation for life gain. But Invocation is so bad on this board. Yes, he'll bounce back and gain some life back, but that's not amazing considering that he will lose 2 once any of my guys die. Jace is not really spectacular here. The absence of a play on the last turn really hurts him here. I believe that's just 3 cards in the graveyard. His land number 4 is the 2-3 mana land, the keep on forgetting the name, well, Black-White's Duel. Not Smoldering Marsh, because that's the Black-Red lands. Shambling Vents, yeah, Shambling Vents. That's the name. I can do some stuff here, but I do sense a counterspell here. There's gotta be one. At least after looting with the Jace. I'm not sure, I might have had the Unified Front at this point. Attacking with the team because there are no like flash creatures like Snapcaster Mage and Standard. Well, they're awesome, but not in these colors and not in this deck at least. So just attacked first to see what he would do. Unified Front is the 4-color, 4-mana Converge card. Puts number of 1/1 allied tokens equal to a number of colors you paid for the card. I really like the Painful Truths, the black Converge card that's you draw X and lose X life. In Legacy sometimes I've been really impressed when I saw people in Delver Beyond Pyromancer decks playing it off of opposing something like not Trinisphere but Lonestone Golem or for example Talia, which is more common. So actually I think it's before damage. So he's casting Felton Invocation revealing Agitai, which is fine. So he took 2 from the Zulapur Dime because there were 2 of them. So instead of going up to 17, he went to 15. I think now is the time to cast the front. If I had it there, but I passed. I suppose what I had in my hand was a Absent Charm or Mardu Charm. So I did that in his upkeep or something. developing the fetch for Canopy Vista to have more white and spare green source. Although perhaps there is a chance I should have fetched for uh, black red duel with the foothills. Okay, casting Absent Charm on his end step. I can't believe this is upkeep. Yeah, it's probably end step. It's weird because he could have actually used the Jace to loot to put down Ojutai. I suppose I fetched for a second white here because I had Outburst in hand for his Ojutai, and I don't really mind my stuff dying. Okay, this is better than Unified Front in a way, even though it doesn't make him lose that much life like Unified Front. So casting the retreat to Emeria, the white retreat. That's one option. Pump your team. Another option. Make 1/1 ally token. Then Martyrimai, trigger the retreat, drain him for 1, put another Zilla port from the graveyard on top of my deck. So this is an interesting position. He has to board wipe here, or deal with the retreat. Otherwise, this will basically drain him out, this board state. So yeah, what I was talking about earlier. If opponent from Death and Taxes and Legacy has Tali on board, then you cast Painful Truths, you have to pay 1 more and you cast it for 4, and if you're 4 color Paramentor Delver deck, you could draw an extra card. So end of turn, Utterend deals with the retreat, which is sad, but not too sad. Now I think it's... okay. Instead of going for Urgita, he goes for Borkling with the Crux, trying to secure the chase on board. That might actually do stuff. So one of the problems of this 4-color deck, the tokens, is the flip chase. So that's a liability. There is nothing like a Oblivion Ring in the format. You can have current and field, but it's double white and it costs a lot. But I think just to be on the safer side, the sideboard for this deck should include some copies of current and field in the sideboard. Because things like that, or Gideon, or Giant Fatty. Well, the Giant Fatties are not really a problem with a bunch of enchantments that exile them. So now he slams down an Ojutai. I just have a Unified Front, which would have been way better if I would have had a healer on board to drain him. He is at 11, but if he's gonna find some invocations... Oh well, he already cast 1 this game, so he can flashback it with the Jace. Lay down the lands. I suppose because I had spares in my hand. Now a Zolaport, which he has to deal with, because then I can seaside my tokens into his Ojutai or removal, or his... well, on the other hand, he has Vance, so he can animate right now at least one of them, and soon if he draws 1 more land, he can animate both of them, and then I really can't get through. So that's the problem. He goes for flashback with Chase, I believe, for Atterant. Yes. I like this play from his perspective, but obviously not really enjoying it while I'm playing this token deck. So Zolaport doesn't even get to drain him when it goes away. So this is a problem. On one hand, you may think that how does this Esper Dragons deck pair against tokens with singular answers, but the deck still plays Languish and Cracks of Fate, so this is how. Plus, it also got the free mana New Infest that exiles stuff, and that deck is definitely gonna play that card in the sideboard to deal with decks like Atarka Red. One card would really love in this deck, if it would make allies, is the Security Wastes. It will be an absolute star in this matchup, forcing my opponent to tap down and do stuff not when he wants it to do. Suicide in my tokens, trying to get rid of Jace, I believe. He's low on mana, but with some cards in hand, if he has a instant speed removal, it will be now the time. So I see that it's a token into Ojitai, so that I can, with Absent Charm, put 2 counters on one of them to kill the Jace. Also here, he couldn't activate, well he could, but not block with its Shambling Vents. I really had to take this opportunity, which will be of course easily broken if you had any instant speed removal. Oh, now this is kinda complicated. I don't really have much of stuff going on. It's gonna go away with one Crux of Fate or something. And with potentially soon access to double activation of Shambling Vents, it's gonna be just impossible to get through. And don't forget, it's a few attacks from Ojitai and I'm dead. I have some answers to Oju from the sideboard, but not that many. Decides to activate one Shambling Vents and pass. He taps down kinda weirdly. I think one of the lands he tapped to activate one of the vents was the second one, so he didn't leave mana up for animating his second one. Although maybe he just didn't have it, didn't have the second one, and the light is playing tricks on me. I think I saw a second one. Well, you probably know it better, the viewers. Checking my hands. He probably has a counter for this thing. It doesn't do a whole lot, but at least it blocks Sojitai if it resolves. That's the Angel of Renewal. Would have gained me 4 life as well if it would resolve. But nah, it's not bound to resolve. I think it was the 3 mana counter spell with Awaken. Yes, it was. Don't remember the name, but you probably know the card. Yep, he's gonna dig for more and more goodies with Oju. Not the best matchup, but it would have been a really different story if I would have had an Altar of the Brood somewhere early in the game. Would have been much easier, because all my land drops, all my tokens, all my creatures would trigger it, and then maybe we'll end up simply milling him out. Also, there are like two outbursts, four Ebs and Charms, and two Mardu Charms, all of which can kill a tapped Ojutai. So not drawing any of those also hurts. Trying to resolve another way to block the Ojutai, that's a 4-5 flyer. That drains him every time I gain some life. Combo wombos with half of the deck. This is why it's here. Even though in general it's a really bad card, but in this deck I actually quite like it. You can bring it back with the Mortuary Mire on the top deck if you cycle it with the Tormenting Voice, so it's not gonna be a dead weight. It's big body, it flies, it can actually if they let it stick and play, it can do a lot of work. It's 7 mana though, but the potential with this card is just crazy. Obviously, Dragon Lord Elgita is a much better card than this one. 2 attacks from Ojutai left before I die. Gets to anticipate once again with the trigger from the dragon. He's at 13 because he once attacked with the Shambling Dance. And yes, he has 2 copies, now I see it. So last time when he left 4 up, he could have kept 1 Shambling Dance up. Representing it messes up with opponent's potential plays, so it didn't matter though. Okay, Tranters of Marsh of the something. Silmgun Scorn with a Dragon of Flaming's a hard counter. Would have brought back in a bunch of Zulaports and healers and stuff like that. No, one Zulaport was exiled, so that would be either Angel plus healer or Angel plus Zulaport or the 2 of the black creatures. 1 turn and I die, but I can still draw some life gain spell. But at this point, if he sees in his top 3 cards a counter spell, he most likely will take it because he's winning otherwise. Didn't find any life gains or any removal to try to do something. So there you have it. This is game 1. Going to sideboard here. Sideboarding in this matchup is sort of easy, simply because what I'm supposed to do is to take Duruses, take possibly Transgress to Mind, take Outpost Siege for extra grinding possibilities and additional punishment for him cleaning the board, and then some ways to interact with the Ojutai, stuff like self-inflicted wounds and Rending Volley, which deals also with chase. That's something like that. I don't feel particularly bad if he would bring in Tassiger. This is stuff that I think he should do. On the other hand, I'd probably bring in, I'm probably keeping Absent Charm because it deals with Ojutai as well. And with Tassiger, so I don't know. Self-inflicted wound or Rending Volley doesn't kill Tassiger, so that pretty much leaves just at that moment 1 Transgress to Minds and Absent Charm to deal with Tassiger. Yes, I have a bunch of tokens, but if he can sequence Tassiger with a Lanquish, then that could be a very powerful combination, wiping the board of all my small stuff and then just pressuring me with a Tassiger. That's pretty much it. What I guess I do take out would be some of the funky cards. For example, I probably don't need Angel of Renewal. It does gain some life. It's a flying body that can block Ojutai, but it's a 6 drop and it's not really necessary there. I have much better ways to interact. So Angel of Renewal, that's an extra that goes out. Then the 7 mana 4/5 goes out. What else? March of the Casualties is okay because I can still bring in back a bunch of cutthroats and healers. That I do like. Although with Angel's gone, it's not that great. Then the Sovereign, that's the 6 mana for 6 drop. That I probably take out. This just doesn't match up well against his plan of stuff. So those cards go out, then I can shove some cards here and there that don't really synergize with everything, like cutting maybe some copies of Tormenting Voice. So yeah, Tormenting Voice goes out. I think that's more or less enough. So basically take out not super crucial cards and clunky heavy drops for more answers and more disruption. Alter is the card that is supposed to shine in this matchup, but we shall see. So I'm starting here since I lost the first game. And here you see it mountain into Altar of the Brood. That's the artifact that says that when permanent on my side comes into play, he gets to mill for 1. Well, actually it says each opponent, as I remember. He milled Haven, which is sort of nice, I guess. A land that also provides some value. Fetch his end of turn from Flooded Strand into Prairie Stream. That's okay. What's not okay is me not having a decent 2-drop. On the other hand, Altar can do a lot of stuff. And as long as I draw some answers for his action, I'm good. He lays down a second land and passes, which is good. I would sort of hate to see a chase here. Although, don't remember exactly my hand here. Mill for 1 here, also blopping the fetch makes him mill for 1 as well. I think my hand contains some 4-drops, so I'm debating whether I want to use it now, mill him for 1 more. Because I saw a glimpse of Unified Front in my hand at least. Fetch up a mountain, which I don't know if I needed that. I could have fetched a Black Rat Duel here. I don't know. Maybe I didn't do that, so more of my fetch lands actually can find stuff. For example, red-green fetch land can find an assortment of different lands. He goes Silumgar's Scorn, revealing Ojutai to counter my Transgress to mine here. That's unfortunate, but acceptable. Although I don't remember whether my hand was that good. Polluted Delta and pass. I get a 4th land in play, but it's not a white source, which is kind of bad. Get to mill him for 1, then cast Endurance here. In response to that, he goes for a dig. probably a fine thing to do. Although there is a chance I would have sacrificed the delta uh, before dig, so that I get to keep something relevant in the graveyard for Jace and things like that. I see, I think, two lands or something: Silkrap, Ojitai, Utran, Krexafei, Mon lands, that's plains and an island. I think there was a third land in there or some spell that doesn't matter. Took out Utran, because that deals with stuff like retreat, deals with altar, on which at this point I'm quite heavily relying upon. Fetched at the end the Sunken Hollow. So his hand is kinda not amazing against me. Fortunately, you can't see a 6 cards. Oh no, it was actually a Jace, it wasn't the third land. But I cannot take Chase with a Duress, although I would like to. So he casts Chase here, which is actually not gonna be flipping that quickly since he cast Dig and exiled his whole graveyard. Though he has Dig and something else from Edurus and Utterance. That's at least... No, he has 3 cards. Dig, Utterance, and Polluted Delta in the graveyard. So... unless he draws into a fetch land, Jace is not gonna flip that quickly. It is kinda sad that stuff like Blasting Mire cannot fetch a White Source. And we do remember that I have a Unified Front in my hand, which will be kinda nuts with a healer and altar in play. Draining for more life, providing some blockers or pressure, and altar milling for a bunch. I believe that was an ultimate price on the healer end of turn. I suppose that was the only unknown in his hand. Let's with a Jace on his main phase, which is probably an okay idea. Now Jace flips. And now he can flashback an assortment of things. Now, so yeah, Jace is a problem. I have a bunch of stuff like Suspension Field and so on for big old draws. That could be also a problem. Or just big dudes from Abzan aggro. Didn't board it then here, even though it can potentially deal with a tapped Silumgar, but it's not an instant. So that's a drawback, and self-elected wound deals with it pretty much. In any scenario, even if it's untapped. Although, maybe I should have brought it in, because this is the way he actually kills me. But I had a self-inflicted wound here. And I have a Cutthroat now in play. But this Jace is gonna be a problem. And I know about Silkrap, that's fine. But then it's Painful Truth, so he gets to restock his hand. He goes down to 12, but that's acceptable for him because I'm running out of gas, essentially. The colorless land you see in play, that's the Blighted Step, that's the 4 mana tap sacrifice getting 2 for each creature you control. Something that's not really that amazing without a lot of the synergistic cards sided out, like Sovereign and that Vampire. Cast a second, Altar, so hoping to resolve something like unified fronts or a retreat. Really sad that no white source, because if this front would have resolved now, he will get to mill for 8, but sadly no white mana seen. Think he flashbacks dig with the Jace here. Even more gas for him. It's annoying. Don't really care so much right now about him having a couple of shambling vans out there. That doesn't really matter. With Dig, he can just look for another Ojutai or something like that, or just some counter spell to be able to kind of protect the Jace, because he can easily win with that Jace and try to mill me out before I'm dead. On the other hand, with 2 altars out there, it looks like I have a better chance of milling him out, plus he resolved a bunch of draw spells and digs and stuff like that as well. Drew extra cards, etc. while I didn't see Tormenting Voice. Not sure, maybe there is a chance that I side them all out. And I probably shouldn't in this matchup. Current field is double white, and here I'm struggling to draw even a single source. He casts an Ojutai here, which is a sad thing. Planes come down, mills him for 2. Then I'm hoping to resolve this unified fronts. Obviously not tapping the Carless lands, but getting maximum converge. So it did resolve, and I get to mill him for 8 here with 2 altars in play. Sadly, I don't draw an answer for an Ojutai still, so that's a problem. And it can simply kill me in 4 attacks. I can't really block it with the tokens. Jace is gonna find him more ways to protect Ojutai with counter spells, because he can't counter Rending Volley. Okay, Crux, kill non-dragons, plussing Jace, Ojutai's attacks, he gets to anticipate. He has to be very careful at times with anticipate, because his deck is melting down. His deck is really melting down at this point. So this game is really close. Zulaport mills him for 2. I have basically 3 turns to draw into something, because he can attack with the Shambling Vents to try to race this way. He goes for Emblem on the Jace. Which I don't know if that's actually a good thing. His deck is very thin. It's just like couple fetches plus something. Well, basically, I don't know if couple fetches would have done it. It's very close. Plus, he always chose to anticipate with Ojutai. Goes for Lucky Duras, taken out, and Planar Outburst out of my hand while I didn't get to draw second white. Duras mills me for, what is it, 5 or 7 with the Jace ultimate. Now I draw the second white while he had a Duras for my outburst. And that would have dealt with Ojutai and... Oh well, the land milled him for 2. This is so close. Ojutai, I'm down to 4, so that on to the next attack unless I get some answer. I think his deck is like 3 or 4 cards at this point. Draw for the turn. I think it's like 4 cards or something. If it would have been a fetch land, I think it would be great. No, it is a fetch land. Okay. No, it was like, it must have been 5 cards then. Or something. It's 3 or 4 cards, something like that. Something like that. He goes to attack with Ojutai. Then I do some trickifying. I try to use Step to gain 2 life for the Zulaport. In response to it, he goes for, I believe, ultimate price on the Zulaport to deprive me of that 2 extra lives so that I would actually be able to survive this turn. I suppose this is why he only attacked with the Ojutai. He didn't see the step coming, but he was still ready for it, unfortunately. I get to go to 5, but I still die because Ojutai kicks in for 5 and not 4. Oh well. So after fetch he would have gone to 1 card, I think, and then any permanent off the top basically decks him out. So there you have it. Even though I lost the matchup, but you can see that how much fun you can have with this deck, and that even against such a hardcore control deck you do stand a chance with the right configuration. I got color screwed a bit and didn't draw Rending Volley. I do like this deck, though it's a bit inconsistent and it requires additional play testing, so I'm most likely not playing it during my local game day. And probably with such limited experience, not bring into bigger events for sure. But I don't know. The problem is, like, there is Kozilek's return and the new Infest from Black, so people at big events will be prepared for Swarm aggro. He did bring in Tessigur, actually. And also in Lanquish, and I think a couple more removals or discard spells. So you see quickly my sideboard here. What I brought in. A lot of ways to interact. Didn't bring in Suspension Fields, Radiant Flames, and the green Retreat, which is here for fast red decks. Don't think the card really has to be in there. More instant speed removal is what's actually needed to combat decks like Atarkarats. On the other hand, if people go away from combo to the Bushwhacker, then it has to be some Storm, or this life gain could be actually fine. But yeah, Carrington Field or similar cards will be really good here. Maybe like an Utter End of my own to combat opposing Planeswalkers and problematic cards like that. Okay guys, don't forget to subscribe. Until the next sale, Brew signing off. Goodbye.